Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Hangout with Coach Kerry. This is episode 62, and I bet you're here because you are a solo entrepreneur, small business owner, and you're looking for tips and strategies on how to be more effective, how to get more results from your marketing, how to, and the bottom line, make more money. And that's what we're here to hopefully help you with. Today is it's Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Here we are, Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific, and this is when I have my episodes every Monday. From time to time, I do record or pre-record an expert interview, but pretty much you can find me at 9 o'clock on my website, hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. So you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my lower third. This is Hangout with Coach Kerry. Just put a .com after that, and that's how you'll find me. For those of you listening to a podcast, so you can find me on iTunes, Hangout with Coach Kerry. You can see my podcast show that's there, and Kerry is spelled Kerry. So today we're talking about a topic that's dear to my heart, and that is time management. And why are we talking about time management and whether you hire an administrative assistant or a virtual assistant? Well, the two go hand in hand. And the reason is because as you've been following me, you know that I believe absolutely that time is money. And if time is money, then how you're spending your time is really, really important. So this particular episode, we're going to talk about when to hire, maybe some of the questions of how do you go about hiring, what do you ask them to do? And today I have an expert in the industry, my actually virtual assistant, Heidi Custer, is going to be my VIP panelist today, and she's going to help us with this. So Heidi, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience today?
Good morning, Kerry. Thank you so much for asking me to join you. My business is In Your Corner Virtual Assistant Services, and we provide administrative support to small businesses remotely. So what a virtual assistant is an office administrator who does work in their own office with their own equipment. They're already trained, so they have the skills you need. So virtual assistants are meant to fill the gap between a business owner doing everything themselves and being ready to hire a full-time assistant.
Great, excellent. And Heidi, why don't you explain to people how they can find you if they'd like to know more about what you do?
Sure. My website is inyourcornerva for virtualassistant.com. Thanks,
Great.
Kerry.
You're welcome. Excellent. Okay, so let's get into this episode because I think that this is an issue that is one that I think we're going to get a lot of people responding to this. And the reason is that as a business coach over the last 18 years, I come across so many, especially solo entrepreneurs, who struggle trying to do everything themselves. I mean, Heidi, you alluded to that, but that is what happens all the time. And the problem is that they get themselves so buried. They really are what I like to say, caught in overwhelm. And that's the big issue. So they're caught in overwhelm because they're trying to do so many things. They're often doing nothing well. And most importantly, they are not doing the high value activities that they need to do in their business, which is actually going out and finding new clients. So business growth, they're not taking the time then to do any business planning, which is a critical piece to know where you're going and what strategies you're going to implement. You have to actually take the time to work on that. And instead what they're doing is they're doing what I call lower value activities and getting stuck in that treadmill of overwhelm. So Heidi, this is interesting. This week I was at an event and there was a woman there, smart, bright woman, got a successful business, and her comment was, my business is growing so much that I'm going to need to hire someone, but I don't know what to ask them to do. Heidi, do you find that when people first come to you and talk to you about hiring you, that's one of their first questions? I don't really know what to ask you to do.
Absolutely. That is one of the first things that people ask. Usually, there's two types of clients that come to me. So the people that are overwhelmed, like you're discussing, that's the first thing. They're not sure what to delegate. And so one of the questions I always ask them is, what do you struggle with? What type of work frustrates you? What do you hate doing? So we go through that, and we talk about priorities. So the key is the business owner has a special gift, whether they're a coach or they're an accountant or they're, a realtor. So they have their skill that's making them money. So we focus on the money-making activities like you were speaking about. That's what they need to get out and do. And then there's simple things like creating documents, email management, newsletters, blog posts, website updates, social media. So there's a number of administrative tasks that need to be done for your business. Like I specialize in communications, but they don't necessarily need to be done by the business owner. So I work with my clients to establish systems. So for example, with coaches, they have an intake process for their clients. And so a common thing that a virtual assistant can take over is that process. So there's documents that need to be given to the clients. There's follow-up on information that the clients need to share with the coach. All of my clients need help with their contact management. So keeping their records up to date. So you're getting information from your clients, you're importing it into, inputting it into different systems. And that certainly doesn't need to be done by the business owner.
Heidi, I'm just going to stop you for a moment. I think you've really hit on a key point, is that for those people who've been watching my episodes quite a bit, they realize that I'm fond of saying there is no sense in doing well that which you shouldn't be doing at all. And so often we get caught up in doing things that there's a light bulb moment that says, well, what am I doing this for? Or I would say often it's a great place to hide, because sometimes there are things that we don't want to do. It's a little scary picking up the phone and calling people. Business development takes a fair bit of a strong mindset. You've got to be on the top of your game, and sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in what I call administrivia and avoid doing the most difficult things. So a couple of things that I've observed, and I'm just going to check in with you on this, is that one of the things that when you talk about people don't know what to ask you to do, one of the things that I've learned for myself, even Heidi, hiring you, is that I actually think it's wise to know how to do whatever the task is, so that you can ask someone to do it. And I think you would agree with me on that one.
Absolutely, yes. It's important to be able to hold your assistant accountable so that you can ensure that they're doing things effectively. Absolutely.
Yeah. And for those of you who have read the E-Myth Revisited, you know that one of the things that happens in adolescence in a business is sometimes what we do is when we're not good at something, we don't enjoy doing something, we actually don't delegate, we just give it to somebody. So what we want to be able to do is actually know what that person is doing and hold them accountable for it, which is, as you said, Heidi, is a really key thing. So what I will do, and I recommend my clients do this, which is a really simple thing, is when I'm doing whatever it is I've identified is I'm going to delegate, is I actually track. Heidi, I'm going to have you put yourself on mute for just a minute, just to see if we can, I've got a little bit of feedback on the back for the audio here. That'd be great. Perfect. Yeah, that's great. So what I do is I have a pad of paper next to my desk, or next to where I'm working. So if it's a new process that I actually want to have you do, that I've been doing for a while, and I just know how to do it, so I'm doing it. What I do is I stop, and when I go on, I write down what it is. So I do it, then I say, click here, I do this, and I do this, and I compare it to what I'd like to have done, so I know I've got the ideal. Because the other thing too that happens is that every time I'm doing it, I have to stop and use brain power to remind myself, okay, how did I do that? And I may not do it consistently every time. So inconsistency in a business can be a killer for your business, because people have to see that consistency over and over again. So once I've written it down on this piece of paper, I can compare it to what I'd like my ideal to look like. And then we can look for efficiencies there, there forward, because that's one of the things you're going to be looking for, is making sure that it's done in its most timely manner. And maybe there's other ways that we can respond back to people so you can give feedback, all of that. So that's one of the first things I have people do, is just literally look at all the things you do. And in fact, I'd even say, more importantly, make yourself take a blank piece of paper, so a piece of paper like this, and draw a typical, what I'm going to call, organizational chart. And chances are your name is going to fit in all of the areas that are there. So I'm just going to draw one here quickly, and I'm going to show you on the screen. So there's a typical organizational chart. That's what it would look like. And you're going to have marketing on one side. You're going to have sales on another. And you're going to have finance and administration. And today we're really talking about, initially, if you're starting, those things are going to be your first thing. So you see you've got written right here. So if you look at all of these administration things that are here, chances are you're doing all of those, you meaning you, the solo entrepreneur, and your name's going to appear in all of those. So a good place to look is, what are those things that are lower on the list, all of the tasks, and those are called lower value activities in terms of your dollar amount, and that's what you hire someone else to do. Because if you look at what you might bill your time out at on your time, there is no sense in doing a job that you can pay someone else significantly less to be able to do that job. And I know, Heidi, you're going to agree with me on this, is that there's no sense in, I need to be the one who's rainmaking for my business. I need to be the one doing the strategic planning for my business. That I can't delegate to anyone else. But I absolutely can delegate someone communicating with my VIP panelists on my Google Hangouts, for an example, putting my videos up on YouTube, communicating with clients, to do, all of those kinds of things. Those are tasks that you can have a virtual assistant or an assistant do. So, so the first place to start is what to get them to do. You make that list. Then, most importantly, and the only way that you can really hold them accountable is by making sure that you have a procedure in place, which starts with that list that you've got, to be able to hold them accountable. So really, there's some training involved in it if you want it done your way. So you have to be able to have that documented to be able to understand, to be able to make sure they're doing it your way. Too often I have people say, well, I hired an assistant, but it didn't work out. And then when I do a little bit more inquiring, the fact of the matter is they hired somebody and just sort of said, there, go to it, right? So they didn't delegate, they abdicated. And so they had no way of being able to really follow up and hold people accountable. So Heidi, tell me a little bit about what accountability looks like with somebody who would hire an admin person.
Sorry, I was on mute, sorry. So accountability is, with my clients, we always discuss in advance what they'd like me to take over. And so usually there's a time budget involved. So we've got a number of hours a month that we work together. And I check in with them by email to let them know when things are completed. So whenever they give me a project, I let them know that it's completed. I copy them on all the emails to their clients so that they're always in the loop of communication. So for example, scheduling is another common thing that I do for clients because they want that personal touch. So they're copied on that, and we've always got a backup if clients need to cancel at the last minute. You know, there's my client's cell phone is in the email so that they know we've educated the clients. If it's a last minute cancellation, please text or call, your coach right away.
Right. Yeah.
And
exactly.
Exactly. And another really important point about having a procedure. This takes time, but it's an investment in your business, because let's say down the road, you need to hire a different assistant, or you've got that document as a backup for yourself or the new person. So once you've made the procedure, that's there for the long term of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so a couple of things too that I've also noticed, Heidi, which I think is really important, but I'm going to recap kind of what I've talked about now. So first thing is you're at a place where maybe you're overwhelmed, you're struggling with your time management, you're thinking, should I hire somebody? Well, the first thing is to start to do some documentation of those things. And what are those things that you're going to delegate? Well, do your organizational chart. So you've got those sort of lower value activities, and you're going to document how to do them. And as Heidi said, the good news is that you're creating really your policies and procedures manual. And that's a really key piece to have in place. So you've got that in place. So now you can have that person do it. The other piece that I have noticed, which I really like, for an example, and I think a lot of solo entrepreneurs, one of the biggest issues is, and in fact, last week's episode 61 was fire yourself and hire a boss, is that holding ourselves accountable. We make a lot of commitments of what we're going to get done during a week, during a day, during a week, during a month, and during this quarter, and yet time just seems to march on and things don't get done. So one of the advantages that I have learned by having a virtual assistant is my own accountability. So it isn't so much holding it is important, obviously, holding whoever's working for you, any service provider, accountable for the tasks that they've agreed to do, but also having someone say to you, on this day of the month, you please remind me that I'm going to get this done, because you've made a commitment to someone else. And so there's also that piece about holding you accountable for getting things done. They can, in fact, push you to get more done. So for an example, if you've been struggling getting a newsletter out, which I know a lot of solo entrepreneurs, they think it's a great idea. They maybe get one, they maybe get two out, but they struggle with that. Heidi, I know what you can help them do is you can help them create a content calendar and then start scheduling that. And then you'd hold them accountable. Would that be right?
Yes, that's correct. It helps a lot of deadlines can be very motivating for people to ensure that they get things done. And it's easy when I'm the only person in the business to say, oh, I'll get to this, and keep procrastinating. But when I have someone else that's saying, I need this information from you to get the work done, then that makes me move a little more quickly. And it often helps my clients get out consistently their newsletter, their blog. So that's another motivator for hiring me, is that they want that consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I believe that, again, how you do anything is how you do everything. So that if you are inconsistent with your communications with your clients, then that's going to show that actually is going to say something about you. So I always say, start by committing to do it less often and be consistent with it. Hire a virtual assistant to help you do that, and then you can start ramping that up as time and budget allows. So Heidi, let's talk a little bit about the difference between hiring a virtual assistant and then hiring an assistant, because there's some questions around that people might have. And with a virtual assistant, your costs are usually a little more than they would be if you were hiring someone to move into your office. So let's address that issue so people can really, we can kind of lay that out so they understand the differences between them.
Sure. So the reason that people are hiring a virtual assistant, reasons, one is the amount of work that they have. So for example, if all they want help with is their newsletter and their blog, that's not enough time to hire an employee. So time is a big factor. When you're hiring a virtual assistant, they have their own equipment, they have their own office. So you're not bringing anyone physically into your space. You don't have to provide equipment. So the expense on your end is less in that regard. So the hourly consulting fee or the monthly consulting package that you pay a virtual assistant is taking into consideration all of those things: equipment, office space, and professional training. So there is less training, meaning time on your part. You're spending less time training a virtual assistant than you're going to spend training an employee. So time, money, these are the resources. Depending on what you have, that will dictate what kind of assistant you have.
Right, absolutely. So excellent. And then it allows people to be able to ramp up if they need to.
Exactly.
You know, more time, so you've got a limited budget, here are the hours, then moving forward. So one of the things, Heidi, that I want to address as well is that there are certain areas in terms of hiring an assistant that are going to be experts in certain areas. And I know, for instance, that there are a number of people that have a number of different assistants because their expertise is in certain areas. And so it's hiring the right person for the right job. So tell us a little bit about what might be a way to be able to determine, is that person the right person for the right job?
Yes, well, I think it starts with the organizational chart you were talking about. So you're looking at what tasks are you hiring for? So what areas do you need help in first? Like, what's the priority? Is it client management? Is it marketing? Is it bookkeeping? Where do you need support the most quickly, and where is it going to give you the return on your investment the most quickly? So you want, like, when you're solopreneurs generally are conscious of their cash flow. So when you're hiring an assistant, that's an added expense. So you want to ensure investing in that assistant that you're budgeting time to do things that are going to recoup that investment for you. And so to get back to your question, sorry, sidetrack there, you are looking at hiring for strengths. So let's say if you've recognized that marketing is a priority for you, and sales perhaps isn't your strength, then you would go with this virtual assistant that has a marketing background and someone that's comfortable contacting prospective clients for you, someone that can help you set up a sales funnel, that sort of thing, so that you know that that's going to help you recoup the investment with that particular type of assistant.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Because there is, one shoe doesn't fit all. And also, so I think, first of all, what I would say is you have to be able to have a rapport with that person so that you can have that communication, because the other piece that has to happen is that accountability. One of the unfortunate things I see a lot happen with solo entrepreneurs, and whether it's a virtual assistant or any other service provider, is they basically just sort of abdicate it to them and say, well, I guess they know what they're doing, so they'll get it done. Well, the fact of the matter is, it's still your business. You have to be responsible for your business. So you have to have some structure in place to hold them accountable. So if you have a good rapport, then, checking in regularly, seeing how things are going, constantly updating, sending new ideas, and, having that kind of communication is a really important piece. Then I also think that, looking to see what is there, are there testimonials of other people who've used their services. I think that's another really key thing. What did you have them do? Were there any particular areas that they weren't strong in? Where were their strengths? Because, I know specifically there are virtual assistants who help just authors get their books out into the marketplace. So there are certain people who have certain areas of expertise. And unfortunately, asking someone to do something that they're not familiar with is going to take a lot more time on their part, unless, of course, that they choose to want to learn that. And I know, Heidi, for you, speak a little bit about areas of your, that you want to add and new things. Sometimes you'll take on a client that wants you to work on an area that maybe is something you're not familiar with, but it's a new learning for you.
Okay, so to talk about what you were just talking about, how to hire an assistant. Another thing that is really important, I find, is common values. So whenever you're choosing a business partner, which an assistant is a partner in your business, you want to ensure that you have the same values. So honesty, clear communication, good work ethic. That kind of thing is important whenever you're choosing someone to work with. Talking about new skills with a virtual assistant, perfect example, I was just talking with a client of mine, and they needed help setting up a shopping cart on their website, like, you know, entering all the inventory, etc. And I haven't specifically done that piece before, but certainly I see the profitability in that. So I'm willing to invest the time on my part to learn it. So I would not charge my client for the learning time, right? And then I go ahead and enter everything that they need to do. And of course, that's all billable hours. So I have that open dialogue with my clients whenever something comes up, because they usually come to me first with a new project and they'll say, can you do this? And I'll say, yes, I've done it. And, you know, it'll take this long, or no, I haven't, but I am willing to learn. And here's how that would happen. Like, that's what it looks like this. I won't charge you for learning. I'll just bill you for the actual time.
Right. Excellent. So Heidi, give our audience a little bit of an example of some of the type of different clients that you have worked with, just so people can get a sense of who hires a virtual assistant, and if they maybe fit in that category, what, you know, if there's a fit for them.
Right. So the types of businesses that I work with coaches. I have worked with realtors in the past. I work with tradespeople. So, you know, that can range from, let's say, a window washer to someone in plumbing. And the thing with trades that can often be the case is they need a voice to, like, they want to add to their team. So they're busy working out in the field and they need someone to look after the office duties, someone that clients can call, someone that will do follow-up calls for them, that sort of thing. I also work with small businesses on projects. So, like, for example, I've worked with different businesses that work with seniors. So they'll have specific projects that they bring me in for because they already have staff. So that can happen as well. I work with
well, I think you've given us. I think you've given us a really good wide variety. So obviously, anybody who's in business for themselves, if they're finding themselves overwhelmed, if they're finding that they've got too many things, that the things are that are falling through the cracks, that they're not dealing with their customers in the most timely manner as they want, then obviously hiring a virtual assistant or hiring an administrative assistant, whether you've got work for somebody for full time or whether you've got part-time work, is obviously the answer to that. So Heidi, thank you so much for being on this call today. I think we covered a lot of great stuff and hopefully got a lot of people thinking. So I want to just tell the audience here, watch for my promotions for my small group coaching program. It's going to be available for people just like you. So it will be available for you to be able to do from the comfort of your own home. And commitment is just 90 days. We'll be meeting twice a month. It'll give you an opportunity in this small group to have accountability, to be able to get coaching directly from me, and at a fraction of the cost is what it would cost you for one-on-one direct coaching. So please watch for some more information on that. Again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you connect with me on Google Plus as well. You can find me at Hangout with Coach Kerry on Google Plus, and come. Follow me on Facebook, Kerry Brown Coach, LinkedIn, Kerry Brown Coach, and also on Twitter, Kerry Brown Coach. So pretty much a duplicate there. So anyway, thank you very much, Heidi. I really appreciate it. Tell me if there's one sort of thing that you took away from today's episode.
The thing that I took away from today's episode is that the importance of the organizational chart, because people need to take whenever we're changing our businesses, to take a step back and look at the big picture really helps us to get clear. Like, it helps me get clear. Here's what I'm spending all my time on, and this, this is like a low level, there's high priority and then there's low priority. It's filing is not something that I as a business owner should be doing. So when I look at what I'm spending my time doing, then I can more easily delegate effectively, and then that frees up my time for high value priorities and spending time with my clients.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much. Good recap of the episode, actually. So everyone, thank you again. Make sure that you hang out with me Monday mornings 9 a.m. and I'm looking for my little sign here. Here we go. Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific. And you can go onto the website and check out all the other videos that are there. Lots of tips and strategies. And we'll talk to you same time, same station. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.